Welcome back to the CFN Arena for another exciting episode of CFN Recharged, the show where your favorite fictional characters battle head-to-head in stipulation-style combat. My name is Josh, and joining me at the desk, as always, is Jim.
Good news, everybody. I'm back for another week. It's good to be here, as always.
Professor Farnsworth.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm just going to do the whole episode like Professor Farnsworth this
Please
time.
don't.
Yeah.
Don't commit to that.
Yeah.
And, as always, Carson. Oh, we got the whole squad here.
That's my threat.
Whoom.
That's my threat. If you do Farnsworth, I'll do Zoidberg, and we'll all
Bite
hate
my
it.
shiny metal ass.
Why not Zoidberg?
Hi, I'm Carson. I'm here.
That sounds like a bad sitcom. Why not Zoidberg?
Why not Zoidberg? Zoidberg and Fluxo.
There's lots of reasons why it's not Zoidberg. Awesome. So we have a really fun episode for you guys tonight. We have someone from Futurama, obviously. We have Taranga Leela
from Disenchantment and Tia Beanie from Futurama. Wait, what? It's the same person, so.
We have Leela from Futurama, everybody's favorite Cyclops mutant Cyclops, I guess.
Well, yeah. Second
Spoilers.
only two, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Versus Bean from Disenchantment.
Princess Bean.
Princess Bean.
Queen Bean. Is what she's
Queen
listed
Bean.
as. Is what she's listed as. But
Hey, that rhymes.
yeah. I think that's the joke.
Okay. So we have Taranga, Leela, and Bean in the CFN Arena tonight. And if you look down at the battlefield, you'll notice a building right in the middle of it. And tonight's stipulation is a barroom brawl. So inside of that building is a bar where they are going to brawl.
Yeah.
And that's how we roll.
Yeah. Tonight, certain members of the audience were allowed into the bar as extras.
I was like, I guess it would have made more sense to build it without walls so people can actually see into the building.
No, because I want that moment where one of them gets thrown through the window and then gets back up and walks back through the door.
But they have to knock over the bike, and then it knocks over all the other bikes.
The other bikes,
Oh,
yeah.
And then some random like biker's like, my boy!
It's getting wild. So let's go ahead and kick tonight's show off with the weigh-ins of tonight's competitors. One at a time, of course. That'd be weird. So let's send it down to John, who is standing by at the weigh station with tonight's first competitor.
Welcome, everyone, to the weigh-in for tonight's matchup. Stepping up to the scale, Taranga Leela. Leela weighs in at 135 pounds, standing 5 feet, 12 inches tall.
All right, yeah. So first we have Taranga Leela, known mutant Cyclops, who for the better part of the series was always thought to be an alien. She thought she was abandoned on the doorstep of an orphanage. But yeah, turns out she's a mutant from the sewers of New York, where
From New York.
from New York. From old New York.
New New York.
No, New New York. Yeah, the sewers of New York, which sits above old New York in a weird way. But so many of the people down in the sewers were all mutated because of the sludge and like all the nasty shit that was thrown down like via New York and all that
Like
stuff.
poo.
Yes, like poo.
And nuclear radiation.
Or nuclear
I
radiation.
was like, I'm not going to let my Poo York joke go until you acknowledge.
New York.
Yes, Josh, like poo.
Like poo, Josh.
Thank
yes.
you.
But she is, with the exception of like Bender just being inherently built strong, she is definitely the strongest of the bunch, as well as the most capable. She was quickly made captain of a starship just because she is she has the best brains of the group as well too.
She's actually a great leader.
She's a 100% a great leader.
She just has a shitty crew.
They're a good crew. They do their best. But
she has her own flaws as well.
She does. She does. But I mean, she's a phenomenal fighter. So she's skilled in hand-to-hand combat because she was what was she? She wasn't like a police officer before. It was like, oh man, I'm like trying to reach
was like
way back in like early days.
She was like
of
a
Futurama.
job enforcement.
Yes, yep, that's
Like,
exactly.
Well,
what
she worked at the cryogenics place, assigning jobs to
Yes.
people that got unfrozen.
Yeah.
And then when they ran, she would
Yeah.
hunt them down.
Yeah. Specifically Fry.
Yeah.
Like that was the only one we ever know
Yeah.
of. But like, yeah. So but yeah, she is she was a rent-a-cop basically is what like that kind of reminds me of.
Essentially, yeah.
But she's skilled in hand-to-hand combat. She can wield weapons with pretty precise accuracy and things like that. Her big glaring weakness here is going to be her single eye.
Her inability to glare.
Yeah, her single eye, which creates a lot of problems.
Yeah, just like we talked about this in the last episode too, where it's like it's always comes down to the eyes.
Yeah,
like that's
and I feel like I bring it up every time. Like, yes, eyes are always a weakness. They are also going to. They
But
are
if you
like
only have one of them.
they are our weakness too.
Yeah. Eye is the weakness.
Eye is the weakness. Sounds like a really bad grammatical. I love it. I'm gonna get that tattooed on me. Eye is the weakness.
I love Leela. I think she's a great character. I think she has a lot of like redeeming qualities. A really good like character arc throughout the show. I don't know. I'm excited to see her go hand to hand against someone who can also fight.
Yeah, in a much different way.
Yeah.
I feel like too. But plus, she's got sweaty brute rash. So I'm just gonna be throwing. Just so you guys know,
Yeah.
I will be throwing references like nobody's business, dude. Like I have watched Futurama so many times that I got to a point where I could put it on when I went to sleep at night, and I knew what was happening. I could watch the episode in my head because I'd seen it so many times.
I'm a big Futurama sleeper, which is actually like a big community of people that all agree that watching Futurama while you sleep is the best way to sleep.
It's insane, dude. Like, yeah.
Do you feel any smarter sleeping while
Yeah.
watching Futurama?
Yeah, I get like that. All those PhDs and master's degrees in the writers' room come straight into my brain. Her martial arts. In one of the episodes, they talk about how she was trained by this one guy when she's training.
Oh yeah, he was. It was in that wrestling episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Where he turned out to be a sexist and like Fnog. Is that
Fnog?
what- Fnog.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
So
I
she had a
remember
bit
that.
of a like a the bride from Kill Bill sort of thing going
She had a
on.
chip on her shoulder about
Yeah.
it, where it's like she needs the best her master, but her master's kind of an asshole. So
And he turns out not to be shit.
yeah.
Yeah. It does turn out that she always has to handle like the fighting though. She is like the
Yeah.
fighter of the group.
Well, her go-to is yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like Miss Piggy.
I never thought about that, dude. Oh my god.
So I want to throw out a few facts about Futurama before we move on.
Okay.
Futurama was created in 1999.
Which is insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like
1999.
I'm not that much older than Futurama is.
It is created by the creator of The Simpsons.
Simpsons. Didn't he do
He
King
did.
of the Hill as well too?
No, that
No.
was.
That was Mike Judge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He did Disenchantment though.
That's
Futurama
insane.
was also co-created by what was his name? Is like something X.
David X. Cohen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David X.
Yeah.
Cohen, who I think is responsible for why it's very distinct from The Simpsons in terms of like its content. It's not just like a Simpsons clone. It's very much its own unique show.
It is.
And I think it's probably because of David X. Cohen.
I think that's actually super interesting because a lot of times when you see these shows that are created by like the same person, like take we're gonna get a lot of hate for this, but like Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites,
Mhm.
like the humor is almost
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's like it feels like it's almost the same show, just kind of redone in a different way. You don't get that with like The Simpsons versus Futurama versus
Yeah.
Disenchantment. Like they all feel like their own different,
we
unique shows.
might get hate for this, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. I think Futurama is funnier and better than The Simpsons.
I agree. I was going to say, I
Yeah.
actually can't watch The Simpsons anymore, really. It just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But I could sit there and watch Futurama over and over again.
Even like the new Hulu episodes that like just got
I have
revived are
not
like
seen those
pretty
ones
okay.
yet.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it's not peak Futurama, but it's like even over 20 years later, it's still doing
Yeah.
great.
I definitely think
and
Futurama
3
was,
cancellations.
before the first cancellation.
Which,
Yeah.
which brings me to my next fact is it was actually canceled in 2003, but it was so popular and had such a strong fan base that it was brought back multiple times.
Yeah.
As we know, with straight to DVD movies and additional seasons.
Yeah, and then got canceled again,
Mm-hmm.
and then got revived by Comedy Central.
Yep.
And then it kind of ended on its own terms, and then got revived by Hulu. It's just like it can't die.
It was
Here
kind
we
of
are.
cool because like that last episode definitely left it, and this is not a Futurama podcast either. So, it's interesting that they like left it to where they could bring it back with like the last line of Lie
Wanna go around.
and Freela is what I was trying to say. Fry and Leela being like, yeah, I want to go around again.
One last thing, Leela is voiced by
Katie
Seagal.
Yeah, Peggy Bundy
Yeah,
from Married with Children.
they do a couple of jokes like in the show too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that explains that entire episode where she was like
Yeah.
Peggy. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I cannot believe the amount of times I've watched Futurama. I cannot believe I knew that show was making fun of Married with Children, but I never thought about the fact that like that was the same voice. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're here to blow Jim's mind.
Yeah. It's happened on multiple occasions. Seriously.
Yeah, so many layers.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Matt Groening is 69 years old, boys.
nice.
Nice.
So Leela, now we know a little bit about her and where she came from. So we're going to send it back down to John at the weigh station to weigh in Leela's competitor.
Now stepping up to the scale, Queen Tia Beanie. Bean weighs in at 110 pounds, standing 5 feet, 7 inches tall.
Next up, we have Princess or Queen Tia Beanie from Disenchantment, a show that was also created by Matt Groening.
Oh, graining pains. That's why we called it that.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, that's why I said that. Okay. So Queen Bean is the main character of Disenchantment. She is the daughter of basically the king of the land,
Zog. King Zog.
which makes her a princess.
Voiced
and I'm
by-
assuming that
John DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Bender,
Who also did Bender in Futurama.
and Jake the dog,
And Jake the Dog. And
among other things.
and Joker.
Joker and Under the Red Hood.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I'm out. No.
Yeah. He's done a ton
He's
of
in
stuff,
everything.
but yeah.
He pops up.
I'm assuming
Gears
that
of War 3.
you
Or
know,
one of the Gears movies, the games. Anyway, sorry.
spoiler, I guess. I haven't seen. I've only seen the first season of Disenchantment, so I'm a little less familiar with Bean than I am Leela. I've seen.
Yeah, I think
Leela,
we're
like-
all kind of hardcore Futurama heads here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Disenchantment is good. It was like came out at a time in my life where I couldn't necessarily watch as much TV as I could when I was like watching Futurama.
Is it
but
on Hulu or Netflix?
Netflix.
Netflix.
I thought it was on Hulu. No,
on
yeah,
Netflix.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
See, that's
you're
why,
right.
because I don't have Netflix anymore.
Yeah.
So, but
Because you stand with the
Who-
writers, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Who
Yes.
uses Netflix anymore?
Exactly.
Hulu uses Netflix anymore.
Are you
I'm
just
over
making
here.
jokes to yourself over there?
He just
Somebody
straight
out
from his mouth into his microphone, into his own ears.
back out his mouth. It's a vicious cycle. You know, there's one person out there just like laughing at your jokes in the background.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the one person laughing.
Jim,
gonna go back
you really should listen to this podcast. I think you'd like it.
No, I just like to listen to the reels and like laugh at that.
Yeah, it's mostly like you laughing like super hard at it's the stuff that I pull for the reels. Whenever I hear Jim laugh really good, I'm like, that must be pretty good.
I'm glad I'm the standard for that. Thank you.
Tia Beanie is, I was going to say, I'm assuming there's some kind of spoiler because you said Queen Bean, which means that at some point she becomes.
It's
ruler
a
of the-
spoiler for a show that doesn't really mean
Yeah,
like a whole
yeah.
ton. It's not like we're spoiling like an anime or like the latest MCU stuff.
I really enjoy that. I enjoyed my time watching that show though because it's kind of like Futurama in like a fantasy setting.
I think they took inspiration from Futurama for the first season, and then once they got kicked off, then they kind of started going in their own direction a little bit. But
well, one of my favorite things about Futurama is kind of the pacing of the jokes and like how the characters talk and stuff. And I think Disenchantment has a lot of that in it as well, like that DNA. I've always been to watch more of it. I'm kind of in a similar boat, but I think after doing a little bit of research and seeing how deep the lore of the show gets,
crazy,
I'm definitely going to go back and like revisit it a little more.
So some notable things about her. She has alcohol immunity. So we've seen that before. She has an unusually high tolerance for alcohol.
I didn't see. Okay, that must happen later because in season 1, I remember her being pretty drunk.
It says, while this isn't a traditional superpower, it's a unique trait that sets her apart.
How did that not come up for Archer?
yeah, right?
We
We talked about it, but it wasn't on like the wiki.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
They probably just know, like you
Yeah.
assume you watch the show, like he always has a drink.
Yeah. But definitely like, some sort of like spending a lot of times in bars as she does. Like we'll create that alcohol ism, I think is what they call it. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, in a fantasy setting, right? The tavern.
Yeah, you're right. It also comes with that is an inherent fighting ability as well too. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm sure like plenty of bar fights and stuff like that. So I mean, along with Leela and her martial arts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Bean's got a little bit more of a brawler.
Home field advantage,
Yeah.
maybe.
This is true.
Yep. She also has, has Lucy, the demon, voiced by Eric Andre.
Which is
Best part of the show, in my opinion.
He's got some pretty good quips in that show.
But if she's getting Lucy, are we giving Leela Nibbler?
Absolutely. It's not going to do anything, but
I mean,
Nibbler could eat everything.
yeah, I know,
this is
Nibbler-
true.
Nibbler's terrifying.
this is true. They do live off of what is that? Like the antimatter?
Yeah, dark matter.
Dark matter,
Well, they
yeah.
poop out dark matter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because that's how they powered up their ship again. It's like Jesus, what a show that is.
Smartest show on television. Literally the smartest show on television.
So a few fun facts about
Their poop jokes are smart, dude. Like I don't.
a few fun facts about Bean. She's voiced by Abby Jacobson, who
Love her.
is one of the
Broad
part of the
City.
duo from Broad City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great show, Broad City.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
very
The
funny.
League.
Disenchantment also has, as with Futurama and The Simpsons and stuff, it has a lot of like cultural references, like pop culture references and stuff like that. So there's a lot of like Easter eggs and quips about, Earth things as opposed to whatever world they're in. It's like
Yeah.
Simpsons D&D kind of.
Yeah.
Kinda,
Wow.
Like-
that's probably the best way to
right?
put that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got like the space race, futuristic Futurama, and then you have like a more
I feel like it's
fantasy.
slower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way.
Low fantasy, I think is what they call it. No,
Yeah.
it would be high fantasy. Because
Yeah.
it's like you still have like goblins and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Elfo.
Elfo. Yeah, I was like, that's literally what made me think about it. It was like the fact that Elfo is a thing. Yeah, she does have like, like both of them have their little friends. Elfo is her best friend, I guess, in a way. But
So, like I said, it was also some fun facts about the show itself. It was also created by Matt Groening. It's
who also did Futurama?
whoa. The kingdom they live in is actually called Dreamland, which is kind of, I don't know, hit or miss, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think is that like a play on like old school Hollywood kind of?
It
Or-
could be.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I think it's just an excuse for them to go back and do
Yeah.
a like a high fantasy type world.
Yeah.
they also designed her off of like a rebellious princess as opposed to like
that's
your-
what the whole first season was about. Was her
Yeah.
like rebelling against like being married off and stuff like that. And that's how she ended up at the bar as often as she did, because she used to sneak out and go drinking and stuff. And, that's how she ended up finding Elfo, was after a night of drinking. And she ended up with the demon Lucy.
Yeah. And then final thing, I think one thing that Disenchantment has on Futurama is it hasn't been canceled yet.
But it hasn't been revived either.
Yeah.
That is true, yeah. But
As of right now, stock on Futurama is up.
Yeah, that is true. But it's not like zombie show versus a live show. It's still live.
Yeah.
It's still going very strong. So that's going to be a little insight.
Sorry, I'm just going to say that's a huge accomplishment for a Netflix show too, because Netflix
that is
loves
true.
to be just
guillotine all their shows. Yeah.
just executing them.
Everybody likes a show, cancel it.
Yeah.
The algorithm hates it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be a little insight into Bean and Disenchantment. So you know what that means. It's time for tonight's commercial break before we get into the fight. So with that, we will be right back.
Attention, space travelers, couch potatoes, and interdimensional slouches. Have you ever dreamed of a delivery service that's as reliable as Bender is untrustworthy? Look no further than Planet Express, the only delivery crew where express is just a fancy word for you'll get it eventually. At Planet Express, we guarantee at least 70% of your packages will arrive relatively intact. And for the remaining 30%, well, we can't promise anything. But who needs both arms anyway? And remember, if you're not satisfied with our service, just tell us, and we'll do absolutely nothing about it. Because at Planet Express, your complaints are as valuable as Zoidberg's medical degree. So why wait? Choose Planet Express for all your delivery needs, and remember, if you're in a hurry, you might want to try a more competent company.
All right. While our two characters make their way into the closed off ballroom, can't see. We do have cameras in the ballroom though. Like it's not like
I think we should just, as an audience, just wait to see who emerges.
wait to see who gets
Holding
thrown
the
out of
severed
the
head of the other.
like waiting to see who gets thrown out the window.
Yeah.
You have to listen to the episode for us to know what was going on inside the bar.
Yeah, it's like we don't even know.
Yeah, I know, right? We're just like
They'll describe it in the post game.
We're assuming that Leela is landing some punches now, and
Here's how I suspect it is going.
so while our characters are making their way into the bar that has cameras and TVs, we do have the 720 TVs that we talked about.
high quality.
Yeah, little
Nice.
box.
In
TVs.
a world
The
of
ones
4K,
that you charge up.
yeah. We're
Let's
just
sit
sitting there with
down.
a series of disposable cameras, just taking quick pictures, like
Stringing them together.
a little flip book.
Let's send it down to John, who's standing by in the arena for tonight's intros. John, take it away.
Introducing first, the delivery driver who's more dangerous than rush hour traffic. Her martial arts skills are so impressive, even her Cyclops eye can't believe it. It's Turanga Leela! And her opponent, the princess who's just as likely to swing a sword as she is to swing a wine goblet. The wild and wacky princess who's not afraid to break a few glass slippers. Princess Tia Beanie!
Welcome to round one, where we're going to dive into strengths and weaknesses of Turanga Leela.
Yeah.
Jim, you kind of hit the background stuff earlier. What do you think Leela brings to the table?
Well, so like I said, I mean, right off the bat, definitely her her karate abilities or her martial arts abilities and stuff like that is going to be a huge karate. Yeah, we got to do SpongeBob at some point. Yeah,
he should have been in this one.
Yeah, right. SpongeBob versus Turanga Leela. It just ends up like that episode where he's fighting
SpongeBob with
the
a chair
and like just keeps punching. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she definitely has her inherent martial arts abilities and stuff like that. She also has guns.
She does.
She has a gun.
She does.
She has a gun, and she also has guns.
I don't think. Oh yeah, none of us have
flexed.
tickets. If you bought tickets to the show, that does not mean you bought tickets to the gun show. No, I think the other thing too, and this is something I was kind of wanting to touch on too, is they did do a small stint in the military. Nothing super crazy, nothing super long,
Against the balls,
but they did go to war.
Yeah.
And she, definitely surpassed every single other recruit that was there, and kind of launched herself up into like, kind of mid-grade fame in like that specific unit.
Wait, that wasn't her though. That was
Lee Lemon. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot it was Lee Lemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because ladies weren't allowed.
No, because Zap Brannigan is.
Yeah.
Zap Brannigan. Who is going to be there.
That sexy Lee Lemon.
Yeah. I can hear him over there now. Like, can I get some more champagne?
Oh, God.
Man. But yeah, no, so she did do she did do really well, which means like, take that for what it is, because nobody there was very competent.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say. Because it was impressive, but also a very low bar.
Yeah. But still, I mean, she definitely has a lot of like inherent skills and stuff.
I have a question. Is this something like am I just misremembering this, or is it like a Mandela effect, or does her bracelet cuff thing shoot lasers also?
I don't
believe so.
No.
I don't know what it does. I don't remember what it
she
does.
She uses it as like a communicator.
Yeah.
I don't think she really does though.
Not often.
Yeah.
What does it do? I thought it shot. Maybe I'm from a different dimension.
I don't know
where it shoots a laser. But
what is it? Berenstein Bears?
Yeah. Pikachu had a black-tipped tail.
So I want to dive into a couple of her strengths here. She is really adept to fighting giant creatures. And the reason I bring that up is, do you think she's going to be able to handle like a smaller human-esque? Is being human?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for
at
what
least
it is, like part human.
From what I saw, her mom is like a sorceress or something,
Yeah.
and then her dad is just her dad.
So, according to most things, I think Leela's wrist bracelet, or that thing she wears, it does whatever is pertinent to the episode.
It's the sonic screwdriver.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Because she did shoot out a meter or like a beam out of it to reattach a limb. She's used it to track Bender. She's also played Tetris on it. She was used to determine whether something was edible or not in the case of like the Popular episode, stuff like that. So it's
She's
whatever it needs to be at the time. Yeah.
Sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who. Got it.
She also is extremely strong. Leela is. We've seen her lift things without any issue.
Yeah.
Take on tasks that would probably ruin all of us.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you remember, like they went to the planet with the very high gravity, and they were moving pillows.
Yeah. And like watched that episode.
Fry and Bender. I haven't watched that episode in years.
Fry, Bender, and Zap.
And Zap were like, Zap lost his girdle, like, because it was just like so heavy. And like they were struggling, and her hair fell. Like that was really like she kind of showed, but
she didn't really lift the pillows though.
No, but like the point is like it was more of like but it was like Zap's gut fell out, and he couldn't like keep himself up. Like but she was able to stand up straight and do just fine. So
Bender like collapsed into his legs. She's extremely adept with hand-to-hand combat. We've seen her on multiple occasions. So you brought the laser up. I don't think the laser is going to come into play because
it's not pertinent to what's going on in the fight.
Well, I think she's smart enough to know, like, hey, you'll get disqualified if you kill Bean. and I don't think she's the kind of person
No, she's
that
not going
would
to use her
ignore.
gun
Yeah.
either. Yeah.
She might like throw the gun at Bean, but I don't think she's
Yeah.
going to shoot her with it.
I want to like make it a point to like on Google when I looked up for her bracelet, the list of suggestions that was given to me is when I typed in Leela Futurama bracelet. So people also ask, what is the thing on Leela's wrist? What does Leela have on her arm? What is Leela bust size Futurama?
Wow.
What is Leela's full name in Futurama? Why is Leela's shirt green? But it's like,
Yeah. Jesus.
leave it to the internet. To
God.
really,
But what was the answer though? No, I'm just kidding.
busty.
Watch that on our part 2.
Yeah, right. On our After Dark episode.
YouTube XX. So I want to dive into some weaknesses for Leela. I feel like we could harp on her strengths all night, but she's very emotional. And I know that sounds silly, but in like a fight like this, we've talked about this before, where if she can't control her emotions, it could get out of control pretty quick. It could open the door for Bean to.
I don't know if
gain the advantage.
emotional is the right. I think she's usually like Fry's the emotionalist one of all of them whenever like things are going crazy. I think she usually keeps a pretty cool head.
Especially when it comes to like a fight. We've kind of talked about that before, where like these fights are just such short, isolated things where I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of these like very emotional characters, like they don't really have the time and the necessity for emotions to kind of drive their fight in this. A lot of times when we see like those emotional like bouts and stuff like that is when they're fighting for somebody or like, and stuff like that.
So.
Prove me wrong.
I feel like the main emotion I see her express is annoyed.
Yeah. I was going to say, I suppose that is more towards like her love life and stuff. She gets really emotional.
Yeah.
Or like finding out about her past. She like was had a up child.
So, like-
sorry. She had a messed up childhood.
So I guess,
Love it.
I don't know where I was going with that. I completely lost it.
Yeah, Josh is like emotional now because he has to bleep out cartoons.
She is okay. So she is overly competitive, though.
Yes.
So we talked
100%.
about
I think that's going to be the biggest thing here.
is she has to win. She has to be in charge. She has to do this.
Yeah.
So I think that we always talk about like getting angry or getting emotional in that sense, right? Like angry or annoyed
Yeah.
could lead to mistakes that Bean could take advantage of.
Correct.
And gain the upper hand.
Yeah. And let's not forget the fact that she only has one eye. I cannot harp on this enough. She is lacking depth perception.
Yeah.
She has zero of it. She can't even watch a 3D movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the watch does, is it makes up for the lack of depth perception.
It gives her
when
another
she
eye.
needs it.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean,
Leela definitely has a lot more strength than she does weaknesses
she does
in
yeah.
this fight.
Yeah.
She does. Final note: she does have like physical limitations, but that is just like a normal, like not superhuman person kind of thing. Is like if she goes up against somebody that's stronger than her, which may not be Bean in this case, but
You never know. Yeah.
she is able to be
Bested. She can be
bested
bested. She
by-
doesn't. She
yeah.
has like a kind of a heightened, like strength. Like somebody who's in very, very good condition and who's like a career fighter or something like that. Who they're going to be able to fight, but that they're not. They can still take a couple punches, but they can't continue to take punches and stuff like that. So, damn, just got it.
I know, yeah. Snuck it in there. So that's going to do it for round one. Now you know a little bit about Leela's strengths and weaknesses. And with that, Jim,
Yes,
don't forget,
me.
Leela has one eye.
Yes, I cannot stress this enough.
Don't just in case we forget.
Yeah.
Just want to bring that back up.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh in our mind.
Well, except for that, in that one episode where she has two.
But it was still only
she
one
put like
eye.
a sticky eye on her.
No,
She had surgery.
She had surgery.
She's
that's
dating
right.
a plastic
But
surgeon.
he was a plastic surgeon, and that's exactly right. So
Yeah.
he only gave her.
It's like a fake eye, right?
It's a fake eye.
It's still messing with like my memory, and I can't remember if she has one eye or two eyes now.
She only has one eye. Yeah.
I can picture her with 2 though.
In that one episode. Well,
Yeah,
in
it's
those 2
easy to
episodes.
think that,
in those 2
but-
episodes, because going back to the episode with the Married with Children, when she looked at the mural, he made up the thing when she had multiple eyes. It was only Leela with multiple eyes.
Oh my god.
Is it clear that we like Futurama more?
No.
Probably should have just done 2 Futurama
Yeah.
characters at this point. All right. So with that's going to bring us to Queen Bean in round 2. So here we're going to go into some strengths and weaknesses of. Hold on. Let me get her full name here.
Okay. Tia Beanie, Maria Beanie, Della Rochambeau, Grunkwitz.
Yep. That's it.
I pulled that right out of my hat.
You nailed it.
He didn't read that,
I
folks.
cannot stress this
You
enough.
nailed it.
Her strengths, she has 2 eyes.
All right. Now
Man.
you know a little bit about.
I just can't imagine you meeting someone in real life with only 1 eye and just be like, "How do you survive?"
How do you survive?
Are you related to Leela?
Yeah, I would be like Austin Powers when he met that dude with the mole.
Oh my God.
Mole. Guacamole.
She has.
2 eyes.
I was gonna say exceptional swordsmanship,
An
but
exceptional sight, yes, because of the 2 eyes.
of course with a fantasy show, there's gonna be fantasy weapons. And
Like magic and yeah.
well, we do see her use magic. While she's not a spellcaster in the common, like the classic sense, she is able to use. Was it like this black lightning looking
Yeah.
stuff? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's really
I
cool.
think Carson put it the best. She has force lightning.
Yeah. She's a Sith.
You heard it here first. CFN Recharged. No, so she, she's going to get into tangles with characters in the show. She's going to need to fight her way out of it.
Hansel and Gretel.
Especially with her 2 like idiotic companions that are probably, always saying the wrong thing or picking fights.
Yeah.
And then she's able to use a sword. So not that there's going to be a sword in the bar, but pool cues,
But a broken vodka bottle?
broken
Like a
vodka
sword.
bottle.
We talked
Slurm
about it.
can.
She is also she's also a brawler though. Because she has been in plenty of bar fights and stuff on her own. So like I think that was a word I was looking for earlier, is like she has that inherent fighter ability, unlike Leela's martial arts. She's a brawler, much like we talked about, like going back to like her Indiana Jones episode where he can fight, but he's got that more of that brawler. He's got a higher like power behind his
Just
punch
that
and stuff
cross
like that.
punch.
Uh-huh.
Classic.
Yeah, and I think Bean is going to be in very much that same vein as well too. So she can hold her own. She's scrappy.
Yeah.
She's very scrappy.
I think she's going to be very similar to Nigel Uno from our previous episode, in the sense that she's very skilled. Now, bear with me. She's very skilled at climbing, but she's very skilled at like navigating areas and stuff. So in a bar, getting around the tables and stuff might prove to be a useful
Yeah, that's interesting.
skill.
I hadn't thought of that. That's cool.
Yeah.
There is a specific example in one of the episodes where her and her companions got taken captive, which I'm sure they said something got taken captive. But she was able to use her like resourcefulness and her strength to build a makeshift ladder and climb out of this dungeon where they were at. So
I'm sure she's got plenty of time to do this here.
I mean,
No, but I know what
The
you're
skills
talking
are still
about.
there.
yes.
Yeah.
And then not only is she skilled with swords, she's also skilled in multiple like handheld weapons and stuff. And I think that's where it's going to come into play. Like you said, like
I think we're going to see a
bottles.
pretty cool thing where she picks up a poke cue and it gets broken in half, and then she has like that, and she kind of does
Yeah.
that.
I just can't wait to
Awesome
see
about
Leela suplex her through a table. Oh my God! Through the table,
God!
and like
Don't
the-
be suicidal.
and then
Off
and,
of the.
and then the audience members that are extras are gonna be like, "Hey, Like, my drink was on that table.
Then they all start fighting each other because that's how bar fights work. Is that
And then the
everybody's
guy at the
punching
piano is
everybody?
just like,
And then we're just stressing out because we're like, no, we didn't sign up for this. Like, this is too much liability.
I didn't pay the guy to play the piano. Where did he come from?
waivers.
Nobody signed. I was just saying, nobody signed waivers. You can't sue us.
It's verbal contracts.
Yeah.
Welcome to the arena. Thank you.
This arena is technically in international waters, so we don't follow any rules.
Yes. The only rule we follow is no rules
And no killing.
and stipulations.
There's actually a lot of rules.
Yeah. So I think I don't know. I think that Leela's scrappy, but I think that Bean is scrappier.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that Bean is like that raw fighting, right? Like that bar fighting.
I think that's kind of why I tried to attribute that to like a brawler fighting style, is because that's kind of what we see a lot of times in like.
So she would be a
styles.
fighter in D&D.
Yeah, actually, I think so. Yeah,
With
Leela would be a monk, and then well, it would just be multi-class. Yeah, Bean would be a fighter with like multi-class, and like maybe take a level or two of like wizard or something like that.
Yeah.
Sith.
Level of
the
Sith.
classic D&D class Sith. Yeah,
Level 4 fighter, level 1 Sith.
just enough to get the Force lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think again we don't have as much background on Bean as we do Leela. So she also has survival skills. So obviously this isn't a fight to the death like we talk about a lot. This is, I guess, in a ballroom brawl it would be more of like a TKO, like who's going to knock who out first.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about survival skills, I think it's interesting because we talk about like, well, Bean is the scrappy brawler. Leela's like the tactical
Martial
fighter.
artist.
Yeah.
Technical fighter, yeah.
Yeah.
But Bean is able to like makeshift stuff. So I think she's a little more like tactical, or I don't know, what would the term
I think
be?
it kind of goes back again to her being
MacGyver-esque?
scrappy. No. I think
Yeah.
it just goes back to her being scrappy, because a lot of times in these bar fights, like it's not just hand to hand. It's picking up what's next to you and utilizing that to keep you from being hit or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that doing that enough, becomes an inherent ability of resourcefulness. I think is probably the best word to use.
So resourcefulness, innovative, I think is what I was thinking of.
That's, same idea.
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say they're both innovated, but in two different ways, which I think is a really interesting way to look at it.
Although, I mean, Leela isn't... I feel like we're also kind of getting into this, like, painting Leela as being, like, this, like, very, like, disciplined fighter in some way. But, I mean, she did bash the devil over the head with a golden fiddle.
When she couldn't play.
Yeah, it's like, time for the drum solo.
She is, and obviously, like, this is like we've kind of gone into Leela a little bit, but like, kind of separating Leela from Bean is like Leela is an emotional martial art fighter, which kind of really does affect her martial arts in a way, versus like, I don't know, I feel like Bean was usually drunk when she was bar fighting, so it's like you're just thinking about that.
Yes, I love drunken bar fighting. It's my favorite pastime. So that's going to do it for round 2. Now you know a little bit about Bean's strengths and weaknesses, I hope. I hope we did her justice. But that is going to take us into round 3, where we lock the doors in this bar, and the only way out is through the window.
Through the window. And that means you lose.
It's like the bar Royal Rumble. You have to get through the window. So round 3, we're going to talk about these two characters going at it. So what do you guys think? I think I asked you what you think, and then I'm going to talk.
No,
so,
I'll probably remember what I was going to say.
I agree from rounds 1 and 2 that Bean's scrappiness is going to be her biggest asset.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that her being able to like flip a table to make a shield when Leela throws something at her, or like
and misses because of her lack of depth perception.
yeah, throws it the wrong direction, like hits the bullseye on the dartboard, but completely wrong direction. But I think her scrappiness, like she's going to be able to withstand, even if Leela's able to get in and get punches in and stuff. I think Bean is going to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
At least at first, in the beginning of the round.
What I wanted to mention was earlier Jim was talking about how these fights tend to not really, like, emotion doesn't really come into it because of the circumstances aren't really tied to the characters' journeys within their own respective shows, respective universes, or whatever. So it's not necessarily you can't really expect to see them getting emotional. And I agree 100%. And I think that actually comes at a little bit of a cost to Bean in this fight, because from what I saw, her powers are brought forward by like emotions. Like she really only uses them in really emotional moments.
What kind of emotion though?
Like negative, in the Force Lightning specifically.
Yeah.
In the Force Lightning specifically, she was being egged on by someone who's like, you know, bringing up all of her like past mistakes and like really like forcing her to feel bad. And then she shot a bunch of lightning, and it's like otherwise she isn't conjuring that often. And so I just think that it's like not going to necessarily come up against Leela.
I still think that she has like an inherent ability after a certain point to like just kind of not like spam magic powers necessarily, but like, you know, I'm sure she can still use them to an extent. But I while emotions aren't going to necessarily affect their fighting ability, I think it's going to create much more tension between the two of them, because they are both very emotional fighters, but they also both have insecurities. So, you know, Leela being like her eye, and like one of the quotes that I'm like seeing here that I'm running is like, you know, Queen Bean or Bean at one point says like, mention my buck teeth again and I'll use them to bite out your spinal cord.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to kind of counter your point a little bit.
Yeah.
And say that Leela is pretty petty when it comes to like physical appearance and stuff. She does kind of like make fun of people's appearances and like
and then gets upset when somebody makes fun of her, like when they call her like eyeball or whatever. So she gets really mad. So there's going to be a
no one makes fun of my nose.
Yeah. So I think that the fight is actually going to start with them like talking shit to each other.
Insulting each other. Absolutely. I just meant like emotional fighting in the way of like, is it going to affect them in a negative way? It's going to egg them on to want to fight each other.
I just mostly brought it up to mention that like her most powerful weapon that we see her use, the lightning, it comes out when she's like scared or like it's not something that she's just like, we keep calling her a Sith, but like the Sith use it pretty freely. she can't necessarily be like throwing lightning bolts all the time. So I do think that it is going to come down more to like hand to hand, table to table, bottle to bottle.
So that would essentially be like her like ultimate, if you will. With the lightning.
She gets so upset that she just
her breaking point.
Yeah, which I don't know if we're gonna get to that, because I think there's gonna be the fight's gonna be over. I think long before she gets to that breaking point necessarily, because there's gonna be a lot of words thrown around. There's gonna be a lot of punches, and eventually it's gonna get to a point where it's just like, you know, the way I imagine that breaking point is like you are being relentlessly bullied to a point where you like eventually explode with emotion. This is just going to be like just insults back and forth, and then like throwing punches because you get tired of insulting each other and hearing these insults. You just kind of go into a hand-to-hand fight.
But hear me out. If you're getting made fun of and get the crap beat out of you,
that's if that happens. I don't think this is going to be a one-sided beatdown.
I also think that they're both the personality type that would like have fun fighting each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I see them enjoying, like Leela likes fighting and Bean likes fighting. So it's not necessarily going to be like the circumstances aren't like to the death, scary.
Right.
You know, none of that. And I think they're just going to like, the insults are going to like egg them on, but in a fun way. I just don't see them like getting legitimately upset too much.
I agree to a point, but I have to bring back up Leela's competitiveness. Because if Bean were able to gain the upper hand, I think it's going to really twist Leela. Like, she could actually win this thing, especially if like the crowd gets behind Bean. You're like, Bean. It's like,
which I
Leela's
feel
gonna be like, well, what the hell?
Which she has heard that chant before when she was like, because she can't throw a Blurns ball to save her life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She was like, did nothing but just be
because of her eye,
because of her single eye. Yes, because of her one eye.
Oh, it's gonna give her like PTSD from Blurns ball.
Yeah, when she was like the most hated Blurns ball player, even after Hank Aaron, like.
Hank Aaron the third.
Yeah, Hank Aaron the third or whatever it was. But yeah, so.
Wow, I didn't even make that connection. That's wild. Yeah.
Again, is it clear that we are massive Futurama fans?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a big thing, right? Like, she just happens to be going against someone named Bean.
Yeah.
And if the audience is cheering
She
Bean,
booed off the
it's
field.
like
Yeah.
a very negative memory that she has.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I also think that, like, so here's something that I kind of want to bring up is I definitely think that because we see Bean take more like hits in a way than we have seen Leela. Leela typically wins most of her fights because she just is usually fighting people that are like
Zach
that is
Bryan.
like
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like I just think like the inherent nature of like the scraps that these two have been in are going to say a lot for how they're going to be able to react to fights. I think Leela hasn't been hit enough to like
I agree.
in a weird way.
But we see her as an adult mostly. You think about like how she got that way growing up in the rough and tumble.
This is true.
orphanage.
This is true in the sewers. Yeah. Oh no, she didn't grow up in the sewers.
orphanage.
That's right. Yeah. You're right.
And
Sorry. Gotcha.
I just, so maybe we didn't see all the hits before she became like super strong and fighting all the time. But I mean, the trauma is definitely there.
Yeah. So they both have their own fair like insecurities, right? Like you were saying, like her eye, Bean's buck teeth. So I mean, there's
with Leela, it's her nose.
And her nose.
Yeah.
Plenty. Okay.
It's my nose.
No one. I just love that. It's like, hey, keep your big nose out of this eyeball. No one makes fun of my nose.
Oh man, that was in the Parasite episode where Fry ate the
Stop.
ate the egg salad sandwich and became
the
like
one?
buff, wasn't it? I think
thought that was in the first episode. No, yeah, it's the first episode. She says that to the cop who's like, she's like the peacekeepers that are beating up Fry and Bender in the head museum.
The robot and the human guy. Yeah. I have to agree with you, Jim. I think that I don't know. I keep coming back to Scrappy. Like I think you nailed it on the head with Scrappy. Her whole thing is like adventuring and fighting and just your
looking
whole, like,
for a fight.
Yeah, the whole fantasy thing, right? Yeah. And Leela only fights when it's necessary. So I think that I don't know. I think that's really going to play into it. Any final thoughts?
I mean, it's necessary often.
Yeah. So I we kind of talked about, so like this sounds like we're kind of starting to really lean in like Bean's favor in a lot lot of ways.
The Bean lean.
The Bean. I just think it's. And maybe this was on us. We kind of did like a disservice by putting it in a bar fight for somebody who typically fights in bars. But I think like Bean's use of impromptu weapons, is going to be pretty big here.
That's true.
I can also see Leela using weapons though.
Yeah,
like picking them up and.
But is it going to be as effective?
Maybe, depending on the weapon.
Pool cues is probably going to be pool cues and bottles. We know Leela can't throw a bottle. Yeah.
Pull cues, yes. Because you have to think about the stature of these two as well.
Yeah.
I think Leela has the reach on Bean.
Okay, yeah.
I think Bean is a smaller.
Yeah.
She's got those combat boots too.
I also think
One of
that's what
those to the
says.
side
Like,
of the
I also
head.
think that like Leela's got the physical prowess that Bean doesn't necessarily.
We also don't know what her bracelet's going to do in this fight.
Correct. It can do whatever it needs
It could
to.
shoot broken
Yeah.
bottles out of it.
Yeah. She's gonna Wonder Woman the bottle out of it.
So that's going to do it for tonight's fight. Now we go to Final Judgment. But I have a question for you guys before we do Final Judgment. Completely joking about the Royal Rumble thrown through the window thing. That's not how they win this fight. But who do you guys see going through the window?
Bean.
Yeah. I mean, like the technicality of like executing a throw, is like very
Well,
martial
it's just,
arts.
Yeah, it was like the martial arts and the
Yeah.
the use of somebody else's momentum to fling
Yeah.
them and yeah.
I agree. I want to mention that I think her being thrown through the window is going to be a positive for her.
Actually, you know what? It's not gonna be Bean. I think it's gonna be Elfo.
Yeah.
I think
gotta be.
Elfo and
It's
Lucy
gotta
is going to
be.
be through the window, and we're not
Yeah.
going to expect it. and everybody's going to be confused, including the person that went through the window.
Elfo's gonna be stabbed with a bunch of broken shards of glass and just be like, I'm just gonna sit this one out.
Yeah,
Like I was thinking, like Zoidberg's just going to walk through the window. Like,
yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
all right, so Final Judgment, guys. This is tough. Yeah, I'll take it first, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think. Thank you. I think that Leela is able to hold her own long enough, and I think that Bean is scrappy enough. I think this is going to be actually a way better fight than we thought,
yeah.
because you come into it obviously, like you said, we're big Futurama fans, so obviously we're biased to a point. So we have to really kind of step back and say,
I think we're pretty good about that because there's
Yeah.
a lot of times where like I want specific characters to it because I am way more biased to the character, but I take the information that we've talked about and I make a decision based off of that.
I think that Bean going through the window, I think that Bean is going to go through the window.
Yeah,
I think Bean going through the window is going to kind of set her off and like get her into that like bar fight mode. And she's going to jump back through the window. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Leela is going to take this fight.
really, huh?
I think Leela has the reach. I
Yeah.
think that I think she's going to get it hit. She's not going to know what to do. I don't think she's going to take the fight seriously at first, but I think she's going to take enough hits that it's going to click, and she's going to go into that like fight or flight competitive
Yeah.
mode where she has to win, and it's going to click. And I think Leela's going to scrape by. Jim?
Damn, I was hoping that Carson was gonna go next because I don't know.
Carson?
No. It's already Jim.
Yeah, you said Jim.
You know what? I definitely think that, unfortunately, as much as I think I did want Bean to win this because of like a lot of stuff that we did discuss, I think that just the physical and combat prowess alone that Leela brings to the table here is going to be, I think, enough to eke her out of this fight, to be the one that that wins this. I think that, we've talked about the scrappiness of both of them. Leela, I think, brings in enough scrappiness, and she knows she can fight. So I know she's been in bar fights and stuff like that, and growing up in the orphanage and stuff like that. And then coupled with her martial arts ability, I just think that she has an inherent ability that Bean does not. Bringing, I think, Leela up top, I think, for this one. You said Leela too, right?
I did.
You did?
All right, looks like I'm the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
No. I said Bean.
Yeah.
I third vote for Leela. No, definitely.
Wow, okay.
It was like a little bit back and forth, but in the back of my mind, I just kept thinking that like everything that Bean has, Leela has and has had for a while. I feel like Leela is Bean in like 10 years,
Or like
So like the experience
a few thousand years.
multiplied.
yeah,
Yeah.
a few thousand years. So I just think that like it's kind of Leela fighting a version, like an earlier version of herself almost, or something like
Interesting.
that.
Okay.
And
It's almost like the same person created both those characters.
yeah, and yeah, it only has one idea of what a woman is.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll all go watch Disenchantment and come back and be like, we were so wrong.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it really does seem like there's enough similarities to make it even, and then enough differences in Leela's favor to kind of push her over the limit, kind of what Jim was saying.
Yeah. All the Disenchantment fans are like, the show.
I mean, do we think there's more Disenchantment fans than
No.
Futurama fans?
No, absolutely not. Futurama's been around long enough.
Yeah.
And there's such a
No,
huge
but
community.
the Disenchantment fans are committed.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
They're like, it is way better than Futurama. I did not see the fight going this way.
No, me neither.
I am shocked.
I'm not that shocked.
I'm-
We've been talking about how much we love Futurama the whole time.
I feel like my decision was wrong. I feel like Bean might win this fight, but
Yeah.
we
said what we said.
We pick our
Yeah.
sides and we stick by it. Yeah. So we want to hear what you guys have to think. Bean or Leela, which, yeah, again, shocking.
Just to remind the audience, I wasn't logged in.
Oh.
I had to log back into my computer real quick because
Just to
I don't have the name. I was going to say her name again.
Just to remind the audience,
Yeah.
Leela does have one eye.
Only one. Yeah, that's
no, I was
100%
saying,
what I
like,
thought
just
you were gonna
remind
say.
the audience. Queen Tia Beanie, Maria Beanie, De La Rochambeau Grunkwitz.
Yep.
It's
Was
what I meant to
Grunkwitz.
say.
Say that
It's
3
like
times fast.
it was funnier when if
Yeah.
I was logged into my computer and had pulled up.
You should have just gone with the eye thing.
I know, but
That's just a security blanket.
Yeah.
So head on over to our CFN fan stand group where we're going to post a picture of the fight and a poll, and you can vote and start a discussion and tell us why we're horribly wrong. Tell us why Carson is wrong.
Yeah, why am I wrong?
Why is Carson wrong?
Because
Why Carson wrong?
Yeah, because he stands by Leela so heavily. And
I am gonna go watch Disenchantment though, and then
Yeah, I do need to watch.
If
I watched
I-
more than just the first season, but it's been a long time since I've seen it. And I was like,
I need you to put
I
out
need
a
to go back and
post
watch it.
on the CFN channel. That's
if I change my opinion,
was so wrong.
I'll issue a retraction live on the podcast.
I was so wrong. So that's going to do it for tonight's show. Follow us on social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And
smash that like button.
I hate that you do that.
It's the joke.
I know
Like,
it is.
it's
I know
like,
it is.
we can do it. I've always.
But I have
dreamed
like YouTube PTSD. Just a reminder, we are going to be at NDK Nandesukon in Colorado. We have a panel on Saturday, September 1st at 5:30. We will update you on the panel room, but we hope to see you there. We have 3 great fights lined up to discuss, and that's going to do it. So for Jim, Carson, John, and myself, of course, this has been CFN Recharged. We'll see you in the next one, and remember, let your characters do the fighting for you. See ya!